It's time to rank every attacker in Rainbow Six Siege. If you disagree with me, let me know down in the comments, and without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So, kicking off the tier list, we have one of the best operators in Rainbow Six Siege. Right now, we have Ace. Now, in my opinion, he easily goes into that S tier category. Obviously, he's a hard breacher, so he's always going to be useful. He has the AK-12, one of the best ARs in the game. And to be honest, overall, you can't really get much more useful than Ace. Moving on from Ace though, we now have Amaru, and Amaru's kind of a hit or miss operator. There's a 50-50 chance that when you rush in through an Amaru window, you either pop off and get some early kills and maybe help your team win that round, or you die instantly contributing nothing and you were probably better off going someone else. Overall though, she is a solid B tier operator. I do like the GAA one which she does get, and if you do use her gadget a little bit more sparingly rather than just aimlessly rushing in, she can be quite good. Moving on from Amaru then, we now have Ash, one of the more popular operators in the game, and I think it's just down to her simplicity. She basically has a few extra breach charges that she can use with her gadget from any range, and overall just so simple, good loadout, good gadget. There is probably operators better, but I think she does deserve A tier just for the simplicity and how good she can actually be. Unlike Ash though, we now have Blackbeard, which is arguably one of the worst attackers in this entire video. Ubisoft really need to figure out a way of reworking Blackbeard. A way that I saw was if he got like a flying drone or something like that he could use to scope out and use it around the map. Either that, or they need to completely rework the way his shield works, or just remove it completely and give him a different gadget. I'm tempted to put him in B tier, to be honest, just because of how much he needs that rework, but overall I think he could be a C tier or a D tier pick. Next up then, we have Blitz, and Blitz is going to go into C tier for me. I feel like shield operators in general, they can be quite effective, but where they don't have that primary AR or primary SMG or whatever you want to call it, where they only have a shield, they can't really be consistent enough in a game like Siege. So overall, I think I'm just going to leave Blitz in C tier. Next up then, we have Brava, and Brava is actually one of my favorite operators for the attacking team once again. Her, Flores, Twitch, they all kind of perform a similar job, and that is just to use their drones to get in there, either destroy or hack utility. I think it all really depends on how the defensive team are actually set up, which in turn decides which of these three operators you should play. Now, if they have the likes of Capcan on defense, I think Brava, if she can hack those gadgets, can be the best. However, if they have lots of deployable shields, I think Flores can be the best. And if they have neither of those and you just want to destroy that gadget, then Twitch is the best. And in my opinion, they're all on par with each other. They're all in that B tier category. So really, it's just down to how the defenders are lined up. With that being said then, we're now moving on to another one of my favorite attackers in the whole game. It's Buck. He's going in S tier because he can really do it all. He has one of the best ARs in the game. Yes, it has a little bit of kick to it, but it is still very high DPS and stuff like that. He has access to the underbarrel shotgun, which is great for clearing soft walls and floors and stuff like that, and even playing vertically. And then he also has the option of bringing a hard breach device, allowing him to get through those reinforced hatches, reinforced walls that haven't yet been electrified. Next up then, we have Capital, and Capital again is another operator that for me, in their specific situations, can be great. I'd say he maxes out at around an A tier if everything goes your way and you use your bolts at the right timing and stuff like that. But more times than not, I feel like he's a high end of C tier operator. I think this C tier, we're going to have to use it more often than not in this video, because I don't want to put everyone in the top 3 tiers. And in my opinion, looking at who's already in B tier, I don't think Capital can be as good as a Bravo or Flores, and I don't think he has as much of an impact on a round as those operators. Once again, if you disagree with any of the positions in this video, let me know down in the comments, but let's move over to Dokkaebi, which is an easy A tier operator. If you're comfortable with a DMR, she could be an S tier operator for you, but I'm just gonna leave her in A tier because she doesn't really come equipped with the best primary weapons. Next up then, we have Finka, and Finka is another A tier, high end of B tier operator. I think the map and the fact that if you're solo queuing or if you're playing with a coordinated team really does help with Finka. I think I'm going to leave her in B tier for now, but as I said, if you're playing with a coordinated team, you can really use Finka's stim to kind of coordinate a great push and really help your team out. But if you're someone like me and you don't really play too much with other people, then Finka isn't really as good as a solo queue operator. Moving on from Thinker then, and we have Fuse. Fuse has kind of had a bit of a resurgence in recent years of Rainbow Six Siege. When he released, he was all about getting kills. He wasn't really focused on the destructibility that his gadget has. And in recent years, I've seen a lot more people bring a Fuse just to clear out utility, kind of like a Flores does, but has more of a chance to put pressure on the attackers or even get a few cheeky kills still. And in my opinion, he's easily a B tier operator right now, and I kind of want to put him in A tier because he even has the AK-12. This might be the most controversial one of the video, but I'm going to leave Fuse in A tier right now. Let me know what you think about that down in the comments. But moving on from Fuse, let's have a look at his other Russian teammate. We have Glaz. Now Glaz, in my opinion, just isn't that good. He can be good on certain maps, certain angles, and on PCs definitely better than on console because you're able to aim a lot better and quicker. But overall, I can't put him any higher than a C tier, and to be honest, if it wasn't for the fact that this D tier is basically just delete or rework the operator, he could probably drop down into D tier as well. But with that being said, next up we have Gridlock, which no matter how many times people say it, yes, she is extremely underrated, but it doesn't seem like her pick rate ever goes up, and she is still such a strong operator. I'm tempted to put her in A tier. She could be a B tier. Once again, I think it depends on the map. There are certain bomb sites on certain maps that if you can get a plant down and then you throw down some gridlocks, it makes it so easy for you as an attacker to hold down that objective and stopping the defuse from happening. Next up then, we have Grim. He's had a few reworks in recent years. He's been buffed countless times since his release, but to be honest, I think overall, I think he's just settled in at a B tier operator. Once again, just like every other operator in the game, there are specific scenarios where he can be extremely strong, but with every operator and their gadget, that is the case. And I think more times than not, he is just an average operator, but he does come equipped with the hard breach charges, which can be quite useful. He does come with the 4.52 commando, which is one of the best ARs in the game, but overall, he is just a B tier operator. Moving on then, we now have Hibana, another hard breacher, always going to be in this upper echelon, easily one of the top 2 tiers of an operator. Now, in my opinion, I'm going to reserve this S tier for just the best of the best operators, and I think Hibana is a very good operator, but her weapon, her primary weapon, does have a little bit of a small-sided magazine capacity, and to be honest, I think her hard breach gadget is just nerfed in all kind of aspects when you compare it to Ace or Thermite. And while we're on the topic of hard breachers, let's just bring Thermite in here now, and I think he's also a high end of A tier, possibly also in the S tier category. I think there's a little bit more wiggle room with how you can approach things as a Thermite. There's actually a few tricks with Thermite that you can use to solo open walls on certain maps. I'll show a quick example on screen, and you can even open some already electrified walls with Thermite if you use your head. Overall though, I think Thermite does deserve S tier, or at least a high end of A tier. Out of the 3 hard breaches in the game, let me know in the comments which one is your favorite and which one do you think is the worst. With that being said then, let's move over to Iana. Now, since the frag grenades have kind of been reworked, she's definitely got a little bit worse. Now, for some reason while I was recording this, I thought Iana still had frag grenades. She doesn't. They got removed a long time ago, so just ignore what I'm saying here and just pretend I put her in S tier. Obviously, fragging from below used to be a big part of higher ranks in Rainbow Six Siege in recent seasons, and now that you can't do that anymore, Iana has been nerfed a little bit, but where she does get an infinite amount of clones, free information for her and her team, I think she still has to stay in that S tier category. She can still be extremely useful for you and your team. She's good for fragging out. She does have some decent AR weapons as well. So overall, I think she deserves S tier. Moving on from Iana though, we now have IQ, and IQ's a weird one for me because I feel like whenever I play her, she can be useful in certain situations, but I don't know, I just feel like her gadget is just, it needs a buff or something, you know what I mean? She has recently got frags, which are still quite good in Siege, but as I said, you can't frag from below anymore, but she is good for clearing out those sneakily hidden utilities. But overall, I don't think I can put her any higher than a B tier operator, because more times than not, I'd say she's on par with the operators in this category already. I don't think she deserves C tier, but I don't think she also deserves to be in the conversation with these A tier operators. Next up then, we have Jackal, one of of the best operators in the game at clearing out roamers. It's why he's banned so often, not so much anymore, but he definitely used to be banned a lot more back in the day, and I think he is still very strong. I think A tier could definitely be in contention with him. He has a great AR, great loadout, even a great gadget, but the thing is, you got to be careful when you use his gadget because you don't want to get caught off guard, looking down at the floor at someone's footsteps and then getting challenged by a defender. Overall though, I do think he deserves A tier, maybe a top end of B tier if I'm being a little bit harsh, but I definitely think he's in contention with these operators. He's probably a little bit better than Fusing Gridlock, to be honest. Next up then, we have Callie, and Callie's another operator that I'm just going to put down here in C tier. Now, she can be useful at opening up a wall, say Thatcher's band or something like that, and you need to stop that electrification, but I think Callie as an operator is a little bit flawed because obviously her only primary weapon is a sniper rifle, and where it shoots so slow, if you miss a shot, it can basically ruin your whole gunfight, cause you to lose games, and overall you got to be heavily reliant on that secondary SMG. Kind of similar to Glaz, to be honest. Moving on from the two sniper operators though, we now have a Lion, which in recent years has actually become one of my more higher played operators. I really love Lion's loadout. His AR is extremely good and his gadget can always be useful to you and your team, giving you free intel. If you already know where an operator is on the defensive team and you activate your Lion gadget and then swing it, it's basically a free kill, and in my opinion, it's going to be an A tier pick. I genuinely love Lion at the moment. I don't know what it is, but I think he deserves that A tier category right now. Moving on though, we now have Maverick, who is the one and only counter to the latest operator Tuberau on defense. Now, even though it's not really a counter that is much needed, Maverick is still a decent operator. I kind of want to put him in B tier because more times than not, you can get the walls open with other operators in this here, and then they bring more utility to the team as well. Let me know where you would put him down in the comments below, but now let's move over to Montaigne. Now with Montaigne, it's kind of hard because he's very similar to the likes of Blitz. Obviously they're both shield operators, and as I said earlier, they don't get any primary weapons, so it's hard to rank them any higher than say a B tier, but I would say that Montaigne is more consistent than a Blitz, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him up here in the B tier category. Now after Montaigne, we now have Nook. Now Nook's another weird one because she used to be meta just not even that long ago. She got changed slightly so that her footsteps no longer are quieter than they are normally, and I think that hindered her pick rate quite a lot. She's quite a niche operator nowadays, and to be honest, I'd put her top end of B tier or low A tier because she is still quite good at that entry fragger, you know, picking off a few people role, but I don't think she is as good as she was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave her at the top end of B tier and let me know what you guys think down below. Now after Nook, we now have Nomad, which is a solo queue operator's dream because she basically is a flank watch for you and your team. She has quite decent gadgets, quite decent loadout, and to be honest, overall, it's hard to put her any lower than B tier because she is such a solid operator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put her in B tier, but towards the top end of B tier. Now after Nomad, we now have Osa, which is a very high skill ceiling operator, which means that yes, she has a very simple gadget where she can just put down bulletproof shields around the map, kind of like a deployable shield on defense. But when you take into account that she can actually pick up those shields again and move around with them while having them out, kind of like a shield operator in herself, there's actually quite a lot of creative things you can do with Osa. Also, post-plant situations she excels in, and she also comes equipped with some decent weapons as well. She has Thermite's AR as well as the PDW SMG, which is very, very good. Overall, I think I'm going to stick her in A tier. It's another operator that if you guys don't play that much at the moment, give her a try because she is quite fun to play. Now Ram is the newest attacker in this video, I believe, and to be honest, I don't really know where to put her. I kind of want to put her high end of B or low end of A. I think that's the kind of area where she belongs. I think it's another one of those operators where it's very dependent on the objective and on the map. If there's a lot of vertical play to be had, for example, I'm thinking Cafe Dostoevsky, maps like that, she can be crucial. So overall, I think I'm going to stick her in A tier because she does have quite a lot of potential. Moving on from Ram, we now have Sens. I'm not going to say too much. I'm just going to dump him in D tier and say, Ubisoft, you really need to rework the way the gadget works, because a normal smoke grenade is literally a better version of Sense's entire gadget, and on top of that, you then get to bring your own actual gadget and be more useful to you and the whole team. On top of that, the POF9 is an okay gun, but it needs a buff as well, so please Ubisoft, do something about Sense, please, I am begging you. Next up then we have Sledge. I think deserves A tier. Once again, kind of similar to Ash actually. Very simple, very good at vertical play, very straightforward to learn as well, and also has a very good loadout, and also has the option of bringing frag grenades as well. If you don't play Sledge, you need to play Sledge because he is just so solid. After Sledge, we now have Thatcher, which with the introduction of impact EMPs is no longer as required as he used to be, but he is still a good operator to bring to the team. It makes the jobs of Thermite, Ace, Hibana 10 times easier as a hard breacher. Once again, if you have a coordinated team, Thatcher can be great as well, because you can kind of counter the Cade trick or the Bandit trick. With that being said, moving on from Thatcher down to Ying, another operator which I think is slightly underrated. A lot of people would put high end of B tier, and I think this is a good spot for her, but I'm actually going to chuck her at the low end of A tier because her weapon choice is actually quite good. Her gadget, yes, can kind of cause your teammates to die if you flash them by accident, but I think Ying has a kind of broken way to actually deal with a lot of the defenders, because if they can't see you and can't shoot back, it's free kills for absolutely everyone. Another operator which I think is heavily underrated, or not so much anymore but was a few seasons ago, is Zero. Zero is easily A tier operator, and to be honest, I might actually creep him up into S tier for this video. I don't really put him this high normally, but I've now noticed the potential that Zero has. He can stop counter hard breachers like Bandit and Kaid if you can find their gadgets. He can also destroy gadgets such as Capcan traps with his gadget, but on top of that, his gadgets are then leftover cameras so they can provide intel for you and your team. He comes equipped with the hard breach charge as well, so he can solo open walls. On top of that, he also has this S300K AR, which is arguably the best AR in the game, up there with the likes of Buck's AR, you know, the AK-12 and the G36C. So overall, as an all-around operator, I genuinely think Zero might actually be the best op in the game right now. He can do absolutely everything, and to quite a good standard as well. And then finishing off the video, we have Zofia. I think she's fallen off. I think she's quite mid nowadays. I'm just going to put her high end of B tier and end off the video there. Thank you for watching. Let me know where you disagree. Click the video on screen and I'll see you guys in the next one.